Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another crazy adventure featuring the cars that you can see behind me. I'm going to be driving the Bugatti Veyron. We're going for a convoy over to lunch with the Speciale, the legendary Ferrari F40, also the Lamborghini Huracan Spyder. But I've got the keys to this, a 16.4 Coupe, an original Veyron. And needless to say, I'm pretty excited about this. A big thanks to the owner. There's quite a special story. 7 years ago, we filmed a video together right here with his Enzo and F50 at the time. I've also been driving his Carrera GT, but this time around, it is Bugatti time. Let's have a quick look at the car and get straight out onto the roads. I've just realised that we have quite a sea of red here at the moment. We'll come back to the Bugatti, but at the front, the legend, the Ferrari F40. This is one of the earlier cars, non-cat, non-adjust, a tubey exhaust system that sounds magnificent. The red, the Rosso Corsa, where you can see the carbon weave through the paintwork. Also, just by the way, popped along with my McLaren Senna as well today, but we're going to be leaving that here while we go out for the drive. So we've got the F40, the Speciale, the last of Ferrari's naturally aspirated V8s, the hardcore version of the 458 Italia, again in Rosso Corsa with the dual black stripe as well. Then the Daily in the form of the Lamborghini Huracan Spyder. But this is the car to drive right now, the Bugatti Veyron, sitting here in the handling mode. So the suspension is lowered, the massive rear wing is up in the air behind as well. But this is one of the originals, one of the original 16.4 coupes as it was launched. A car that has become a complete icon. It was the fastest car in the world. It was the height of engineering in terms of automotive for a decade, all based around that. 16.4, a W16, 4 turbos, quad turbocharged, 8-litre engine, making 1001 horsepower, 1250 newton meters of torque. All-wheel drive, dual clutch gearbox. When the Veyron launched, it was the result of many years of work by Volkswagen, of course, Bugatti part of the Volkswagen Group, a new product that's followed on by the Super Sport, well, firstly the Grand Sport, the convertible, then the Super Sport with more power, and then the Grand Sport Vitesse, the convertible version of the Super Sport. But this, really, it's an iconic car, and I've got the key right here, matched to the interior. Let's just unlock it, have a quick look at the inside, where I'm going to jump in a moment to start it up. But really, it's an icon, it's an iconic car. Everybody knows the Bugatti Veyron. The Chiron has followed more recently. Only 450 Veyrons in total were ever made, but of those, only around half or so, I think, were actual original 16.4 coupes. So let's take a step inside here and get this car started up, because I think the others are going to be along any moment to go on out for this drive over towards lunch. Turn the key, hit the button here, and it will come into life. Have a listen. It's a deep, deep grumble, but we're going for a lunch convoy in a Bugatti. This is a good way to go about things. Huge thanks to the owner. Let's do this and see how it is. It's just about go time then. I need to take the car out of handling mode to go out on the road, so we're a little bit higher. The wing will come down as a result as well. The climate control we want to just turn down a touch, because otherwise it's going to be blowing at us very hard. So that's all set. Let's put it on 2021, that's fine. Nice and comfortable. Now, the strange thing about a Bugatti Veyron is that it's kind of built and engineered to be a fairly normal and usable car. It's nothing crazy or intense. So you're comfortable in the way you're sat, you've got good visibility, just moving around the mirrors slightly. All that view over the engine bay is amazing. And yeah, into gear, automatic gearbox, and away it goes. Just a gentle cruise, super easy, super relaxed, just like that. What's really surreal about the Bugatti Veyron is that you don't really realise that you are in a car that at one point was the fastest car in the world, in excess of 250 miles per hour at the top speed, because it's so quiet and calm and easy to drive. That's what's really strange about this. Honestly, you just crawl along in full automatic 4th gear at the moment. The engine is near on silent. There's not very much happening. You can give a gentle squeeze of the throttle pedal, build up a little bit of speed, but in the most undramatic way. Nothing does or oozes power in the way that a Bugatti does it. This is totally bizarre. I'd forgotten how subtle it was in the way that it does this. Of course, you've got the flappy paddles if you want to manually downshift, but it's so gentle. What you can, of course, do is hit the button and put the car into handling mode. I can see the wing in my rear view mirror is popping up. The car sits a touch lower, it all firms up a touch as well. You can also press the gear shifter to the right to go into sport mode, where you can tell it's automatically dropped us down to first gear there. You can get a little bit more noise out of it, but we're gonna have to wait until we're out of this little village, town, small area, slow speed limits, before we can use a bit of that power and get a taste of what it's like. Another kind of funny thing is that because the sound deadening in here is so good, you can't really hear the F40 in front of us, even though I know that that thing's making a lot of noise. And then in second gear, we can slightly open the car up a little bit. In theory, in a moment, I think we're just waiting until we're all together. Yeah, off it goes, off we go. But it just happens in here. It just glides away. It just does it with no drama. Okay, a bit of noise in the F40 there. Oh, and a lick of flame out of the back of it as well. It's kind of interesting. These are two cars from completely different eras that are both icons. Both the Bugatti Veyron and the Ferrari F40 were leaders of their time. And yeah, here we are, convoying with them both over to lunch. This is totally ridiculous. Driving with two just completely different cars, both icons of their eras. F40 and Veyron. It's those noises when you give it a little spurt of power, you get that deep grumble, and then you get the lift-off noise from the wastegates. Of course, the F40 is also a turbocharged engine, a twin-turbo V8. The burbles and overrun pops like crazy. And we've made it. So park, turn the key, and well, technically silent, but it's not very noisy. So we will hop on out. The others, I think, are just behind. And then I'm going to take this car out for a little drive, find a countryside lane where we can enjoy a little bit more of it afterwards. Then we might even swap over as well. But for now, let's go get some lunch. Everybody is just about to park up, but we're not the only people here today. Rolls-Royce are here as well, with some new Phantom VIIIs and a Cullinan as well at the end. That looks particularly interesting. F40. Just to take a listen to that as it manoeuvres. Look at that. That's very, very nice. The blue as well, of course, particularly appealing to me. Actually, they're all three different blues, but quite similar overall in any case, though. Yeah, lunch run with supercars. Back in the Bug then. So we've got an interesting plan, actually, to move some of the cars around. We're going to drive home with this, then I'm going to come back here, and the intention is to drive the F40. For the time being, though, let's ignition on. Engine on, roars into life, door closed. It's pretty easy in here, there's not that much to think about. That's a beep to let me know it's in handling mode. That's the noise of the Speciale. Basically, just to the right into gear. Handbrake is down here, but it turns off automatically if you just start driving. And that's more or less all there is to it, and then off we go. Creeps on forward, and it's so quiet nobody can hear. I tell you what, if there was one day to be driving a Bugatti, it was not today, because the traffic everywhere is atrocious. However, we're about to pull out onto the motorway, which, fingers crossed, is going to be slightly more open. But this car might do 250 miles per hour. Today, I have struggled to get it to even 25 miles per hour, unfortunately. And of course, the carbon ceramic brakes a little bit squeaky on Bugattis, on Veyrons, but let's at least have a small blast out onto the motorway. Goodness me. Yeah, that's where you feel the power, the effortless nature with which it reaches 70 miles per hour to get out onto the motorway is pretty astounding. Unfortunately, even here, it's looking really, really, really busy. So, let's, wow. Oh, you have to hold on. You have to hold on a lot. The torque. It's the torque that's really crazy. Anyway, we're now on the motorway. Again, not the most exciting in the world, I'm sorry about that. But hey, if you're going to have to sit in traffic, it's still more fun to do it in a Bugatti Veyron. The way it just gets a move on, honestly. The interesting thing for me though is to drive the Veyron after having more recently driven the Chiron, because it's a very different car. This is so much more gentle and gradual, I would say, in the way it goes about things. Whereas the Chiron actually is a touch more dramatic. This is just near on ease of driving silence with ferocious amounts of power when you choose to use it, but not in the sensation that it delivers, purely in the way that the numbers clock up and build up. Unfortunately, it's all just been a little bit too busy to really stretch anything and get much of a feel for it, but a small sensation tells me that this is a daily driver. It's a daily driver with over 1,000 horsepower, and that's a sum that doesn't quite add up. It doesn't make sense. It just shouldn't be like this. Except, let's just go a little bit around the corner here. Planted, steady as you like, all-wheel drive. Yeah, so cool. Time to go back into handling mode and press the button, gives a beep, and then the wing goes up, and now it's the way it does it. It's just ridiculous. Honestly, there's nothing like a Bugatti. It's like when you want luxury, there's nothing like a Rolls-Royce. When you want power in an effortless style, there's nothing like a Bugatti. Woo! Wow, you just can't even contemplate using all of the revs in here, because quite frankly, anywhere shy of the Autobahn, this car is too fast. 1,000 horsepower. I mean, it's effortless, it never breaks traction, but it is so much, you just simply cannot use all of it. That is the craziest thing with this car. Alright, going the other way, that it's too quick. It's too quick for the road. In any gear, instant torque, instant feel, instant power delivery. It's firm, of course, we're not in handling mode at the moment, but oh, wow. Just wow. I'm just going to bring down the pace a moment. Empty bit of road, nobody behind me. In first gear then. Let's get a feel for this. Wow! Holy moly! You have to hold on tight. It just goes. Honestly, it's amazing that this thing is, well, over a decade old. You know, we're talking 15 or so years old nearly for the Bugatti Veyron. That's crazy, but it really is such a different car, like I said, to the feel of the Chiron. It's actually amazing me how different it is. Yeah, it's cool. It's forever an icon. There's no question. This car is absolutely forever going to be an icon. It will be that thing that was the pinnacle of engineering for its time. So far ahead of anything else. In the way it's engineered, but in the way you can drive it, in the way you can really push on confidently and easily. And we get to a slightly twistier bit of road here, and it sits completely flat through the corners. Yeah, okay, it's not the drama or craziness of all the other cars of this period, the Enzo, the Carrera GT, the Zondas. It's not that, but it's not trying to be that. It's trying to be its own thing, and I love cars that go about finding their own segment in the market. Of course, I'm concentrating pretty strongly at the moment. Wow. I mean, driving without it in handling at the moment, you have to pop it in and out of handling quite regularly if you get to speed bumps or anything like that, but need to go back into handling mode. Foot down. Firmer, down to the ground, locked down. Of course, we're fighting a bit of daylight here, but coming into a dip. Wow. So mad. It's so mad. But it's not noisy, so it probably sounds like I'm just crawling along. Yeah. What a car. I don't think anybody's going to try and pretend it's a light car. You can definitely feel the weight of the Veyron, more so than the Chiron. It's interesting how much the Chiron has developed from the Veyron, how it's become its own, a new type of car. It's clearly the next generation of it. And I hadn't quite realised that at the time. It just oozes power. In a quiet way. I know it doesn't sound like, you know, you can go full flat, and it just doesn't sound like or feel like the noise that you expect from that level of performance, yet it's just shooting away. Oh, okay, this has been quite a lot of fun, but we need to continue this journey, so let's head back to base with this car, get it parked up, and go from there onwards. A slight change of scenery into the Rolls-Royce Phantom VIII. Now, I did get to join Rolls-Royce at the media launch with the Phantom VIII and was absolutely blown away by its luxury, elegance, but still drivability, because it's a very, very big car. But I think I'm going to take a seat inside the back, and we're going to head on over in, well, style and comfort. Oh, look at that Starlight headliner and the gallery as well, to get back over to pick up the other cars. Out of the Phantom VIII then, because it is now Ferrari F40 time. I'm going to be following the Huracan, but this is a day that has been quite overloaded with excitement. Of course, it's now actually no longer the day, it is the evening, but the F40 needs to be taken home, and I think if I just turn on the light on my camera briefly, we can see a small amount more of it. A pretty iconic wedge shape of the F40 with that huge wing at the rear as well. Interior-wise, there's not a whole lot in here. A dogleg manual gearbox, totally different to driving in the Veyron. Just Alcantara surfaces, still with a carbon fibre tub, but not a whole lot else. Anyway, I'm going to take a step in here and get myself vaguely set up to take it out. But yeah, it is now dark. I'm afraid we're not going to be able to see much during this drive, other than maybe having a little listen to it. Wow, that's really bright with the torch in my face. But from Veyron to F40. To start this up then, key in the ignition here. Can turn that on, and there's a button just there. Oh yes. Into life, and then down here we can flip up the headlights, give that a twist, and the headlights pop on up. This is also for going down to main beam, using that. Okay, we're getting somewhere here. Cool. Like I said, it is painfully dark. I'm sorry about that. Dogleg gearbox. Noisy Huracan alongside. But yeah, I think I'm going to be ready to go and see what this car is like. Okay, obviously no driver aids, heavy steering. A little bit nervous, it's a Ferrari F40. Okay, here we are, we're doing this. Second gear, dogleg, that's forwards in the center. Takes some getting used to. Getting used to this gearbox, and the car is much wider at the rear than the front, which is also something you have to quite substantially think about here. This feels absolutely nuts, following the Huracan, of course. Turbos, wow! And all of the burbles. I don't know how much of the burbles you can hear. Oh, the way it comes on to boost is just mad. And a short bit of tunnel. I just realised quite how loud it is in here, down to second gear. Oh yes! Noises! It's just a little bit silly. Well, that was an experience. The Ferrari F40, so totally different to the Bugatti Veyron. Now in the showroom with the blue lighting. Come and have a look at this, actually. It's really quite cool, with the mirrors at the far end, the reflections of the various cars tucked in one after the other, the Veyron, the Carrera GT, and the Ferrari 599 GTO. This is something that's really intrigued me, now driving it, like I've said a few times, after having driven the Chiron. It's the way that the Veyron goes about everything so phenomenally effortlessly. And the fact it was an icon for a decade, and it will forever be such an icon. But I didn't realise how different the Chiron and the Veyron actually were, which also opens up the idea of how different will future Bugatti models be as well, because things are changing big time for that company, going down the route of coach building, cars like La Voiture Noire, the most expensive car in the world, even the Devo, 40 units of the Devo at a pretty hefty price tag, when you consider that's, £1 million worth or so of car, and then, as is, the F40. But what a comparison, actually, between two completely different cars, separated by, what, around 20 years or so? 15 to 20 years between them? Just engineering differences galore. The F40 manual, hardcore, involving, exciting, loud, dramatic. The Veyron, completely different, chilled out, like a Bentley or a Rolls-Royce, calm, effortless, gentle in the way it does it. So what a driving experience this has been. And a huge thanks goes to the Supercar Garage for the opportunity to come and drive these cars today. My mind is blown. So we went from the Veyron to the Rolls-Royce to the F40. I've had a little bit of driving in the Huracan and the Speciale myself, as well as just so much going on. So Instagram link down below. A big thanks again, and thank you very much as well, guys, for watching. I appreciate your support as always, but that's it for this time. I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.